Hi guys, Diederik Klopper here, host of the Voices in Payments podcast, Season 2, in which we'll talk all about the ABCD of payments. Throughout this season, I will be inviting payment experts to talk about artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud and data, and how these apply, overlap and drive winning business strategies in current-day fintechs. In Season 2, I'm joined by directors, VPs and other senior payment experts who oversee these business operations, but even more often I'm joined by C-level executives, partners and founders who've leveraged these technologies to generate immense growth. Our guest today is Kellogg Fairbank. He's the CEO at Nash. He's a true tech executive, a builder and sales leader for tech startups and scale-ups. And in today's episode, we'll talk about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, wallets, and how Nash strives to be over-compliant in a world where the regulators are lagging. Nash bridges the gap between the crypto and the local currencies. Their crypto-to-cash exchange service combines the lowest fees with instant delivery to the safest software wallet. Nash also has a solution for businesses, where merchants can easily accept crypto from their customers and receive cash by using Nash for businesses. I'm very excited for this episode, so let's get right into it. Kellogg, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hey Kellogg, great to have you here. Well, we always start with the same question. How did you stumble into payments? Because it's already been some time ago that you first was involved in the payment industry.
Yeah, very much so. I may look young, but I'm not as young as I look, with a wink. So I started, I think, about more than a decade ago, and I founded a company. And it was an e-commerce company. It was actually it was skins for the first iteration of the iPhone. So iPhone 3, I think it was. You upload a photo and we could create a skin for you. It took us about 3 weeks to create the website, but it took us 4 months to get approved by a payment service provider. And so I was intrigued. I thought, there has to be a better way. And I studied the market as much as I could because I really wanted to get approved and start accepting payments.
Yeah.
And so coincidentally was also approached by somebody, and that was from Global Collect, and joined Global Collect at the time, which then became Ingenico ePayments, and then has now become Worldline.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into payments.
What was it as well, Global Collect, that you were trying to connect with your newly found company, or?
So I can't remember if it was Global Collect that we were speaking with. In the end, we were accepted by PayPal. But PayPal has its own challenges as well, as an online.
Which because you've worked there as well, and for Braintree.
Exactly. Yeah, correct. So from there, have stayed in the payment space ever since, and I think once you get into payments, you never leave.
Yeah, I find the same, and indeed, I was very much surprised with the broadness of the industry that we're working in when Nash first stumbled into it. And you've worked at quite a lot of companies and as well founded quite a few.
Yeah.
What is it that really triggered you to found those companies?
Well, I think it's always has a theme around payments, right, and financial services. So I think I've been fortunate enough to be able to work for companies where I've learned a considerable amount about starting companies, as well as about the financial services and payments industries and what consumers or businesses are looking for, right? And so I think that's one of the key aspects of starting a business, right? And so. Yeah. I think that's first and foremost. But I also saw a need for certain things, right? So one of the companies that I founded was Tenor, and Tenor was a payments analytics platform, still around. Yep. And it's because the data that you collect from all your different payment service providers was ugly. It just wasn't readable formats and that type of thing. And so we made it easily readable and available on one unified platform.
Yeah, exactly. And we also work with Tenor, and we know the difficulties that you can get when you're trying to download all the payments data into one platform and make it universal across different payment service providers. But as well, those insights are, of course, extremely valuable for merchants nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, and now you're the CEO of Nash. Can you tell us a bit about Nash?
Sure, absolutely. So Nash is a cryptocurrency company, right? So I guess when my mother or father asked me what it is that I do, if you say blockchain and crypto,
Yeah.
3 years ago they would have said, "Oh no, Kel, what are you doing?" But now it's become, adoption is there, the recognition for cryptocurrency and all of the advantages that cryptocurrency provide, as well as the decentralized finance worlds and the services that they provide, is also something that has become widely accepted, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at what Nash is, we are aiming to become Europe's gateway to crypto. So we want to make it as easy as possible for users to move traditional money into the crypto space, and then to access all of the major crypto services in just one mobile app. And so what we aim to do is we have a lot of those services today, and in the next couple of months, we'll be launching more. But our vision is sort of an app that includes digital banking services alongside crypto, seamlessly bridging the old and new financial systems, and will provide users with national currency bank accounts, IBANs, so that they can deposit money easily from their IBAN into a high yield interest savings account powered by DeFi. And DeFi is again decentralized finance.
Yeah.
So if you look at Europe today, banks are charging negative interest rates to park your money at that bank, right?
Yep.
And DeFi is a whole new world, and it allows users that provide the capital or your idle money, put it into an interest savings account. You can earn 5, 10, sometimes a lot more percentage points on your capital. And so that is what we're looking to do. We're looking to provide an easy, safe way for my mother, my father, and everybody else, the next billion users of crypto, to be able to buy and sell crypto, park money in a virtual IBAN account or an IBAN account, and then also deposit it into a high yield interest savings account.
Yeah, indeed. I think indeed the bridging the gap between the new financial world and the old financial world, that's really what's missing nowadays.
Right.
And even for myself, I'm already involved in payments for quite some time, and still crypto is for me, hard really to fully understand. But I think it's because the gap between my financial world and the crypto financial world is quite large. And I think it's really good indeed to bring those two together. To talk a bit about cryptocurrencies in itself, we know that it's decentralized and it's mostly unregulated, but that's as well something that you guys are keen on getting better grips on, right?
Yeah, very much so. So I think if you look at crypto today, crypto is, I would say, 99.5% unregulated, right? And the reason for all of the what you call in crypto terms is rug pulls, where founders will pull the money, or there are scams, or all of these different types of things, is because of the unregulated nature.
Well, the missing crypto queen is of course a good example.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think Nash is really positioning itself as a leader in the space, and that is regulated crypto, right? And so from day one, we have been working with regulators to be fully compliant across the board. We are licensed by the FMA, and we are acquiring e-money licenses in the various jurisdictions that we operate, and we believe in that regulated way forward, and I think that provides safety, trust, everything for the consumer that they're looking for, right? And if you're depositing or investing a lot of money, you don't want those funds to go missing, right? So
no, exactly, and I think especially in a market which is so volatile as cryptocurrencies often are, the security of making sure that your money is safe, that's of course will take a lot of stress away. But how do you handle being compliant in a market where perhaps the regulators are not yet set up in a structure in order to facilitate compliancy in a market for cryptocurrencies?
So that's actually a very good question and a very complicated answer, I think. So I would say that if you look at our product, we have a crypto exchange app, right? A cryptocurrency exchange app,
Yep.
and we are decentralized, which is decentralized finance. So that means that all of our user wallets. So if you were to sign up for Nash and get a Bitcoin or Ethereum wallet, those are decentralized. You own the keys to those wallets. If you were to go to Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, what have you, those are centralized exchanges. So all of the funds are in one account, so to speak, right?
Yep.
And they also own your funds. They're like IOUs. The likelihood, if they were ever to get hacked, those funds could potentially be, disappear. With decentralized finance or decentralized platforms such as Nash, the funds are spread across thousands or millions of different accounts, right? So each user account.
Yeah,
So a
so
hacker
you need to hack
is much
each specific account in order to retrieve the funds.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons why decentralized is so or like a non-custodial is so important in the decentralized finance space.
And just to interrupt, non-custodial is decentralized. For the
Decentralized.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. So centralized exchanges are custodial. Decentralized is non-custodial, and so that's one of the safety measures that we have in place, right? But then explaining that to the regulators is also a very difficult task because they are very used to centralized authorities and holding onto the funds versus decentralized, and so. We do get there, but it takes a lot longer to explain. And
so it's a lot more education of the regulators before you can,
Absolutely.
make the. And is there a lot of resistance from the regulators? Because I can also imagine that, for instance, the UK government put some value in being able to have insights into the funds that somebody has on their bank account, of course, for tax purposes, for instance. But if those are decentralized, then that becomes more insightful for the tax authorities as well.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, it is more insightful for the tax authorities. I mean, no matter how you look at it, regulation is coming to crypto, right? And that has several benefits. So first of all, we then can be certain that things are going to be secure. Right, that you won't have as many scams as are going on. Well, obviously, I guess the whole thing about taxes, that kind of stuff, is people use crypto as a hedge, and they potentially may not be reporting taxes. I don't know, but those things will be made available, right? So I think the transparency is already there. So if you look at the ledger, which is blockchain, all transactions are recorded on the ledger or on the blockchain, right? And I think blockchain cryptocurrency is the future of finance, and I think we are. It's been a process that has gone over 10 years, with the first wave of blockchain being Bitcoin. I think the second wave was and I guess if you look at Bitcoin, it's the distributed ledger. It's a blockchain which facilitates peer-to-peer transactions, right, or transfers of digital assets. The second wave is Ethereum, and many people also know Ethereum, and it allows you to really build on top of that cryptocurrency. The third wave is what probably a lot of viewers will have heard about and maybe participated in as well, is ICOs, right, which is initial coin offerings. And then the fourth wave is what we see now as decentralized finance, which is building on a combination of all of those innovations, right? So it allows anyone to lend, borrow, send, or trade blockchain-based assets using easily downloadable wallets. And I think that is something that we're seeing a huge trend in right now. To give you an example of how fast this is growing, the decentralized finance world, is last year, May, there was $1 billion that was locked. The total value locked, so TVL, was $1 billion. May of this year, it was $60 billion.
Wow.
And
so
as of today, it's $100 billion. right? So that is funds that have been deposited into the likes of DeFi protocols like Aave and others, where you can earn interest on your capital. You can lend, borrow, send, and there is just a considerable amount of money that is being deposited into these protocols. Yeah. And for the regular user, it's very difficult to understand, and that's what we're trying to make easy to understand and access.
Yeah, because I also think that most users or most of the audience will think of cryptocurrencies as indeed a peer-to-peer trading solution. But indeed, having other financial services linked to the cryptocurrencies makes a lot of sense, and that really opens up the market and a lot of potential. And I think as well, I've often been asked about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like that. Back when it was at 400 euros, a friend of mine suggested to put a few hundred in Bitcoin. And I said, well, I'm not quite sure. Let's not do it. I'm not speaking to him again, unfortunately. He was not that happy. But for me, the use cases were quite limited. You were only able to really make peer-to-peer payments, but I think being able to pay on a regular basis in shops with for instance, Bitcoin will really be a huge stabilizer for the value. But indeed, having other financial services linked to it will as well stabilize the value of the cryptocurrencies. Yeah, I think that's really what's missing in the market today.
Yeah, I mean, the use cases are there now, right? So if you look at 2017, we had ICOs, which was, many called a money grab, right? There was a lot of projects that raised significant funding, but then didn't have a clear business idea or the use case to solve, right? And I think today we're seeing decentralized finance or DeFi, and crypto is solving a lot of those use cases. And I think that's why we're seeing such an adoption of the space. It's everything from payments, which is instant. If you look at a good example is a bank transfer from the Netherlands to, let's call it Asia or to the US. I create the bank transfer, right? A wire transfer, and then somebody at the bank needs to physically push a red button to send that transfer. I mean, that seems very old out.
And only on weekdays and working hours and during the weekends, that button magically disappears. So
exactly. But blockchain changes all of that because it's instant, it's permissionless, and it allows you to send funds to anywhere around the world at a fraction of the cost, but also it's then recorded on the ledger or the blockchain.
Yeah, and there are two things that I certainly want to dive into. We mentioned ICOs already a few times, but let's park that for now. You mentioned as well a fraction of the cost. Just because this has been in the news as well quite regularly, the energy expenses that cryptocurrency also bring along. Can you share a bit more insights into that? So we know that it takes a lot of energy, but what is the full story of that?
Well, I think the full story around energy consumption from Bitcoin specifically is that you have a proof of stake and you have proof of work, right? And so with Bitcoin, you have a number of computers that are attached to the network that are running simultaneously to crack the code, if you will, in order to be able to run the algorithms and put it onto the blockchain, trying to make it easy to explain, right? But and that's what has consumed a lot of energy in respect to what you're talking about. I think things are being worked on with respect to that, and I think it's come to light of late in the past few weeks, and be interesting to see where we head with that.
And is that solely for Bitcoin, or is that inherent to the blockchain in itself?
Well, it's starting with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is
widely used.
Yeah, exactly. And then the promising alternative to proof of work is called proof of stake. There are various ways of getting it to work, but the idea is that you replace work or computing power with game theory. You stake tokens in a particular pool or with a particular node, and that node then validates transactions in exchange for a percentage or a share of the network fees, all of which require very little computing power or energy.
Mm-hmm.
The basic idea is that if you try to falsify transactions and then become out of sync with other nodes in the network, you could be hit with a large financial penalty. So you're disincentivized from trying to create a fork in the chain to take back transactions. To do so, you'd have to control a majority of the nodes, and in turn, that means that you would also control a majority of the currency supply, so not the energy supply. There are different proof of stake protocols, but the principle remains the same. Control of the currency supply is important, not the energy supply, and the blockchain will encourage all nodes to reach consensus. To give you an example of proof of stake networks, Ethereum is making the switch to proof of stake, and many other cryptocurrencies favor it heavily. I think future blockchain networks will probably never really consume huge amounts of energy at all, even if they do power the world's financial systems.
Yeah, exactly. Then coming back to ICOs, because there's also been a lot of news around that, and indeed some in really positive sense and some not so positive. Do you have a good example of an extremely successful ICO and what the best use case of an ICO is?
So I would say, so let me first start by saying Nash has also had we've had a security token offering, which is a regulated token offering, right? Mm-hmm. And so we raised 20 million from the consumer market, retail investors, and 10 million from leading blockchain VCs. I think that is something that was a first of its kind. ICOs were unregulated. They were pretty much money grabs, I find, most of the time, and a lot of greedy people went out and just got a lot of money, but then didn't have to provide any results. And I think I'm glad that those no longer really exist, right? So ICOs are a thing of the past. So that was 2017 when ICOs started coming out, and I participated in several as an investor, and I've been involved in crypto since 2017 when the bull run was starting. That's how I first got started, and I'm glad to see that it's no longer that. What's happening now is companies that are starting in the blockchain crypto space will have a token, right? And that is similar to Nash. We have our next token, NEX, that is tradable, and they are providing their token as future equity. So the token hasn't been released yet, but
instead of a share of a company, you buy a token.
Exactly. Yeah. So you buy a token. That's correct.
Yeah. And then I shortly mentioned already the Missing Crypto Queen. I don't know if the audience already listened to it. I think you have listened to it, to the BBC podcast, or not? About OneCoin.
I have not, no.
Oh, I urge you to listen to it. It's extremely interesting and very well done.
Okay.
It's about OneCoin and the entire scam around OneCoin, where basically it's sold as a cryptocurrency, but there's no blockchain behind it. It is really somebody with an Excel file who just made a pyramid scheme. How do you, as Nash, verify the cryptocurrencies that you guys are trading on the platform, that they are indeed solid, that there's a real blockchain technology behind it, that it is safe, that it is secure? How can you check that?
So I think when you work in the space, it's very easy to identify solid projects versus scam coins or Doge or SHIB or whatever it may be, right? So those are not the quality projects. At Nash, as a regulated compliant company, we really look to list or make tradable quality projects and tokens and coins. And I think that is something that is very easy. It's a small space today still, right? And so it's very easy to reach out to a lot of these founders and execs at some of the DeFi companies, and ones that are not maybe looking a little bit shady. If they're a security token as well, we will not list them. So we're very, very diligent in our research and before listing anything on Nash.
And so you have a real strong, basically KYB process,
Yeah.
KYC, know your coin,
Exactly.
to get them on the platform.
Absolutely. Yes, correct.
And how do you see, because you've been involved in cryptocurrency now since 2017, you mentioned, how do you see the usage of cryptocurrencies develop as well? Is there a lot of change happening? You shortly mentioned the numbers are going from 1 billion May last year to 60 billion May for this year, and now 100 billion. So there's a huge increase in the usage, but is there a different way of using them?
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing is a proliferation of stable coins. So stable coins are coins that are pegged, right, to either the US dollar. So you have USDC, which is a digital coin that is pegged to the US dollar. And that's always stays at $1, let's call it. We also offer USDC on our platform because it's widely accepted in the crypto community to be able to stake, deposit into a savings account, those types of things. And also, that's how you can cash out, right, without having to cash out into euros or dollars. So I think stable coins are going to make a huge continue their rise. I hope to see a euro stable coin in the near future. I think that would do this specific Europe itself a lot of good. And I think CBDCs, which are central backed digital currencies. So like the central bank, just providing those, I think we'll see that. So you have the digital yuan, and I think that is something that is also going to increase. And I think we will continue to see DeFi increase as well, and those stable coins will go in there.
And the stablecoin that was linked to the US dollar was the USDC, was that?
That's correct.
Yeah. And that's not backed by the US Federal Reserve or a centralized authority. So is that just a company that created the USDC?
Yeah. So USDC was founded by two companies in the space, leaders in the space. So that's Coinbase out of the US. And a company called Circle, which is also a blockchain crypto company, and they provide blockchain services or crypto services, right? And so they formed this stable coin USDC. Every USDC coin, so digital coin, is backed by $1, deposited into a real world bank account. So I don't know if you've
there's
heard
always
the
a
news
payout possibility.
Yeah, there's always a payout possibility. So there's no, it's in the past there was a concern about another stable coin called USDT, which was introduced by, I think it was Bitfinex. And there was concern that it wasn't pegged to the US dollar, and there wasn't an equal amount of deposits for every USDT that was issued, right? So maybe there's 1 billion issued, but then there's only 500 million in the accounts. That's been since verified that is not the case, that everything is equal, right? And so that brings a lot of stability again to the markets.
And I think this is as well a huge opportunity for the regulators to step in, if they indeed verify that the deposit is equal to the amount of coins issued, then that will give a huge surge to the confidence given in those coins.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And the crypto is often used as a trading solution, but do you see more and more merchants accepting the cryptocurrencies in order for consumers to make purchases? And how is that developing?
Yeah, sure. So Nash has its own crypto payments acceptance platform, right? So we are able to accept crypto payments. So we work with like an e-commerce company or like whoever it may be in Europe. If you want to accept payments, you can actually use our service called Nash Link, and that allows you to accept cryptocurrency, so ETH, BTC, whatever it may be, any of the currencies that we currently have on our platform, and then be able to pay out. We pay you out into a euro or
currency.
GBP. Yeah, your preferred currency. So you don't have any of the volatility of crypto. However, if you wanted to keep it in crypto, you could also do that, right? But our service is really about converting it from crypto to your national currency.
Yeah, and I think that will open up a huge market without having the additional risk for the merchants. And do you see a lot of use cases that more in, for instance, the digital services, or as well more on the selling of hardware, for instance, retail?
So I think it's a digital services, but digital services is also difficult because it's also there's a lot of risk involved with digital services. It's e-commerce businesses that are more likely to adopt, right? And I think it's a very slow process right now. So just to give you an idea, we don't make money off of crypto payments, but we facilitate those, right? And the reason why we do that is because we want to help with the adoption of crypto across the board.
Yeah, the higher the adoption rate, the more people will start trading, and then that, of course, that will then play back into your revenue model.
Exactly. And also we offer it at 0% fees. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we have an exchange in the back end. So when we accept a crypto payment, let's call it 100 euros worth of Bitcoin, we take that Bitcoin, place it on the exchange, and we make money off of somebody buying that Bitcoin. And that's how we're able to make money and offer it for 0% fees to our merchants.
Yeah. Exactly. Then coming back to something that you mentioned in the beginning, that you're linking IBAN numbers to the accounts of your customers.
Right.
Is it for each account there's an IBAN created, or is it an option?
So we don't have that just yet. That is something that we're looking to launch in the very near future. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we have a partner for that. And that will be when you create an account, you will be presented the option to either open a Euro or a GBP account, depending on where you're coming from. For some merchants, or some consumers, you'll be able to open both. And for existing Nash users, you will be able to with a new user interface, you'll be able to create one as well, just very easily. You just click a button and open up an account.
And what will be the main benefit of having an IBAN linked to that? Is just to exchange it back and forth between euros and pounds?
No. So I think if you look at where Nash is headed, we are becoming a crypto bank. Right, and look at Revolut. Revolut has solved a great use case, which is for consumers as well as businesses to be able to have multiple currency accounts and then be able to transfer funds, have a debit card that's tied to that. With Nash, we also plan to do the same, but on the crypto side, right? And so we are becoming a Coinbase, Revolut, and PayPal combined. And that's something that's pretty revolutionary. But the digital bank accounts will allow you to deposit funds with one click, be able to put them into a high yield savings account. Also, take those out of the savings account, make payments. We'll have a crypto debit card tied to that bank account as well, and become a full financial services platform powered by blockchain or crypto.
And how will it look like then if I'm on an e-commerce website where I'm able to pay with Nash? Do I then have a username password, or indeed can I use a digital card that's issued to me directly?
Yeah, so if you're a user of Nash, you can use a digital card, a debit card, to be able to pay. Also within our app, we have a QR code scanner that allows you to scan any QR code and make a payment in crypto, right? Or in euros or whatever it may be. And then as a merchant, to be able to accept, it's just a simple, you add our widget to our platform. Displaying a QR code, exactly. And then any digital wallet that accepts crypto can be used to make payment.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I think this is exactly the type of acceptance that I was looking for, where I think that's really required in the crypto market.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Very much so. This is where adoption is going to come from, right? If we can make it easier for people to use and less technical user interface, I think this is where it's going to come from.
But then let's wonder about that a bit. If a new consumer would like to open an account, what does it look like? You go to nash.com, download the app, and it's just like opening a regular bank account, or is it something?
Right. So we are regulated in across the board in the EU. However, we are for certain jurisdictions such as the UK and the Netherlands, we need to work with those local regulators to become even more compliant. Right. Yep. And so we are working with regulators here in the Netherlands as well as the UK. If a user wanted to start using Nash, they could go to the App Store or go to our website, Google Play Store, download the app and go through the KYC process. And it's a very, we've tried to streamline that as much as possible, right? So that we get people through. In the UK and in the Netherlands, you will not be able to buy crypto just yet because the fiat ramps, which are Euro, GBP, require that extra regulation, right? So if we're touching a fiat or national currency and selling you crypto, we need that extra regulation. So we've switched that off for the Netherlands and the UK. But hopefully soon, in the next couple of months, we'll be able to offer that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Then as well, we've been talking about crypto now a lot, but let's take one step back and talk about blockchain. Do you see, because quite often they're linked one-on-one, but do you see other use cases for blockchain besides cryptocurrencies where it can be easily adopted?
I think there is a Dutch company that's I think it's Gets Tickets. I think it is. I can't remember the name exactly, but I do see for the ticketing industry, I think blockchain is super important, and blockchain crypto combined, right? So the ability to have a ledger. The original ticket is placed, and then also payment can be made. If you look at the ticketing business, there's a lot of fraud that occurs, right, with resale and also fake tickets and scamming. And I think they help to solve that. I think so. That's the first thing. And there are other industries as well that I do see, potentially insurance and others. But I think ticketing first and foremost, other than financial services.
Yeah, interesting indeed. I think that's a huge market, of course. But then if you're talking about ticketing, you can take tickets, I think, a lot broader is proof of purchase. So, for instance, an airline ticket is also something that could very well work for that.
Yeah, but then for airline tickets, those are not transferable. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would see ticketing more as for events and that type of thing, which would be really interesting.
Yeah. Although domestic airline tickets should be able to be easily transferred from one person to another. International, of course, they've got some other regulations that you need to adhere to, but domestic could definitely well be, because I know how frustrated people are if, for instance, by mistake they misspell their name on a ticket, and then they have to pay an extra fee.
To us,
yeah, exactly. And then now we're 2021, almost midway, already. Yeah. What's next for you? You already mentioned that you're speaking to regulators, and hopefully we'll be able to make a transition from euros and pounds to cryptos. What's next for you guys?
Half of 2021. So we have the Nash savings, which is the ability to. In the coming months, the digital banking services, which is the IBANs, will also be offering. The crypto debit card, right, will also be launching in the near future.
Will it only be virtual cards or also physical cards?
So at first it'll be virtual cards, and we will be then look to bring real virtual cards, or not virtual cards, but
physical cards.
Physical cards, yeah.
Plastic.
That's the word, yeah. And so if I look at physical cards, my iPhone, I have 3 cards that are attached to my Apple Pay, right? And I haven't carried yeah, exactly. I haven't carried one for a very long time though, right? So
Yeah.
Apple Pay I use for everything, and it's that convenience.
It's same here, and I've mentioned this already a few times on the podcast. I also have a sticker on the back of my phone case, and there are
Yeah,
2 cards in there, my credit and my debit card. I don't remember the codes anymore.
no,
Haven't used them for so long that it's always been
yeah,
Apple Pay. But just
yeah.
still to this day, I still keep them around just in case. But the chances of me leaving and
At
having a
first,
phone with no battery is
yeah,
almost non-existent. Then I will leave my
I know.
phone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at first it felt a little weird because I had an empty pocket because I didn't
Yeah,
bring my wallet anymore. If I walked out the door, once COVID or Corona, prevented us from going to the office,
yeah.
and now, it's just it's become standard. So
Yeah, some time ago, I think already 2 years ago, we got a lovely gift from our employer, a secret wallet inscribed with our
yeah,
initials. And then a year later, I asked him, one of our founders, to have those stickers on the back of your phone, not knowing that by the next day I will no longer carry my wallet. But indeed, it took
yeah,
some time before. I always, when I walk out the door, I tap my pockets for my keys, my phone,
yeah.
and it used to be a third tap for my wallet, but that's no longer needed.
I
But it
know.
really takes some getting used to. Same when you're walking out of the house without a watch on, all of a sudden,
Yeah, exactly.
that
Yeah,
that just feels
yeah.
weird.
Yeah,
I,
it's habit, right? And so
Mhm.
so you're used to it, and that's why it's it gets you getting used to.
Yeah. Talking about getting used to, what is needed for more people to get used to paying with cryptocurrencies, to trading it? I think we already mentioned lowering the threshold in order to open an account is one, having a broader acceptance. But is there something else needed?
Yeah, so when people ask me about why has crypto or crypto not really taken off prior to 2021 or 2020,
Hmm.
it's because really all of the apps and all of the websites that have been created for the space are very, very technical. And it's
Yep.
just, even myself that has a little, I don't have a technical background, but I've been working in software and internet companies for, more than a decade. And so I have an understanding of it, but I still find it difficult, right? And so I think until the user interface and the user experience is simplified and made pretty, if you will, we won't
Yep.
see that adoption. And that's what we're looking to do here at Nash. I also think that the safety issue, so having a secure environment to be able to make a purchase
Yep.
or deposit funds is also super important. And that's also what we're looking to achieve. So those two things are, our USPs. And I think those are necessary for the next wave of users to come into the crypto space.
Yeah. Do you think it's necessary for all users of cryptocurrency to understand the underlying technology, or you think, okay, that's perhaps less relevant, but better understand the security aspects that are in place, for instance?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. So I think if you wanted to learn about the underlying technology, blockchain and
Hmm.
ledgers and all of that kind of thing, I think you would probably need several months to learn because it is very, very broad. It's very, very complicated as well,
Yep.
and there are so many different platforms and protocols and that type of thing, right? So I don't think people that have an inquisitive mind will do the research. You'll go to YouTube, learn how to trade, how what makes blockchain. But I think what's important to understand about the space is whether the platform you're using is secure or whether it's decentralized, non-custodial. Those types of things I think are important because you want to make sure that your funds are safe, and that's the
Yep.
most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a layer, there are several layers of knowledge that you will need to know depending on where you use it for, right? The
Right.
same goes for a simple bank account. You don't really need to know how a core banking system works. You just need to make sure that you understand that your money is secure. Then if you're applying for a mortgage, for instance, there's a bit more that you will need to know on how a bank works. And if you're starting trading just stocks, then there's a bit more that you will need to learn. I think the same goes for cryptocurrency, that it's quite easy to understand the basic of a distributed ledger. How that old technology works, that's already a bit more complicated. And if you get more and more involved, it makes sense that you would like to understand it better and better. But in having the different layers are, I think, important.
Yeah, and also one thing I do want to mention about that as well is that you don't want to change people's habits, right? We were talking about habits earlier. So if you look at a mobile app, if you're asking people to take a left, then take a right, and then go up and down, and then take another left in the app, that's not a habit that they're used to, right? To be able to make a deposit. You want your platform or your user interface to look very similar to what they're used to. Exactly. The same flows and the same sort of look and feel, but prettier than your existing bank application.
And more flexible.
Right? And more flexible as well. Correct.
And cheaper.
And so if it's that way, if it doesn't break their habit, if you don't have to teach a dog new tricks, let's say, right, then I think it will become successful, and that's what we're striving for over here.
Yeah, and I think as well that indeed having a simplified user interface, but as well getting the word out that it's no longer just a trick for the techies, but it's a lot broader. I think is also really important.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And I think this conversation hopefully has contributed to that people who've been listening will better understand that it is indeed secure, that it is safe, and that there are a lot more use cases than just trading peer-to-peer or speculating on the volatility of the coin, but that it actually can be a payment method, and there are a lot more financial means behind it.
Yeah, it's a financial services a powerhouse it's becoming, right?
Yeah.
Crypto and DeFi. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's been extremely interesting. I've learned a lot, and hopefully the audience as well. Thank you very much, Kellogg. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
And thank you for having me.
And let's do it again in some time, because the developments are going so fast that I think it only makes sense to pick it up again quickly.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
All right. Great, man. Thanks a lot.